It came to that.
All right, what's going on, good
You go
people?
live. We're ready. I didn't decide on color.
You were ready. You were ready. You had the color perfectly. Then you were like, "Nope, I'm going to change it to green." So anyway, but nonetheless, we're gonna have a little discussion on the Hall of Fame and our thoughts on that, and Peacock's crazy censoring of history and whatnot. I mean, what is Peacock, a family network or something? What are they doing anyway?
It's an animal.
But I guess we'll start with the Hall of Fame. I don't have the list of inductees, or maybe I do, in front of me. I know I got. I think I'm looking at them now. So Molly Holly, Eric Bischoff, the Great Khali, everybody's favorite, Kane, RVD. I think that's it for 2021. I know there was like a 2020 class that was announced too, because of course they didn't have.
Well, yeah, they're gonna have that. They're gonna have that class be introduced to. They've already filmed it, so there's gonna have trimmed down versions of their speeches. By the way, Hillbilly Jim is still talking at his.
And right there, Yokozuna is still eating.
I love Hillbilly, but when you say the words, "Don't worry, I'm not going to go too long," and you go 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not too long.
What was everybody's initial thoughts on the Hall of Fame class? I guess we should start out with.
Well, I do find it funny that they took their time. They took their time in the first two names, Molly Holly and Bischoff, but then after that it was, oh, we're 2 weeks away. We gotta name people. What's Khali doing? Put him in. This year, the Khali is this year's Coco Beware. No offense, Coco.
No, and of course I've heard Adam. I think I've heard both of you say this. I think we all are in agreement, even Justin in his absence. Well, I think we're all in agreement that there should be some sort of criteria or something for the Hall of Fame. Because what happens is, even though it is still prestigious to the people who get in it, you have someone to the caliber of an Edge or an Eddie Guerrero, but then there's just randomness that's thrown in. And of course, they've added the celebrity wing for kicks and giggles and, different things. I think the Warrior Award is a good one. Of course. What's the one that Titus is going in for?
He's getting the Warrior Award.
The Warrior Award.
I find a little, I think it's a missed opportunity. Nothing against Titus, because Titus is like the best quintessential picture-perfect ambassador for a company. But given the events of last year, how do you not give that to Shad Gaspard?
Right. I was a little surprised on that one too.
Yeah, which I know old Meltzer is going to add that to his repertoire of awards, which I do like. It's like a Brody Lee Shad Gaspard Award, kind of his version of the Warrior Award.
Right.
But I mean, good for Titus. Good. He's a good soul, good human being. Like, he fits that criteria, and which is funny based on what we just said in terms of criteria. Dana Warrior expounds upon that every year of why said person is getting it. I mean, they gave us the criteria for the 50 greatest WWE superstars of all time, which that list is not offensive, but per the stipulation of most influential, right off the bat, in terms of the entire history of WWF or WWE, how is that not Hogan, Andre, Flair, Dusty? But but they're the guys at the top. I think it was like Austin, Michaels, Hart, Taker, Rock. I think that's like their top 5. Solid, but I mean, if you look at it in a
Hogan's not in
more
the top 5.
Hogan was like in the teens.
Okay.
You know, I'd have to pull that back up. I think I don't know how much of
what was the criteria? Did they say? I know you said that.
Championships. It was like championships, most influential. It was like 3 things, but it was pretty solid, concrete.
Hogan doesn't beat out Michaels in that regard.
That's what I'm saying. But like just that right there, how is Hogan and Andre not 1 and 2 in particular?
Right.
But anyway,
I'd have to go back and look at it because I know because didn't Peacock put out like a top 50 women's something?
Yeah, and it's.
Did they censor the bra and panties match or what?
Probably, probably because that would apparently be the Meltzer rule. Because if you look at how Meltzer covered Sable back in the day, I'm like, apparently he just doesn't like attractive women. Shocker.
But yeah, I mean, back to the Hall of Fame.
Right.
I do wish there was more of like a criteria in terms of like, because I don't even think there's like, with the NFL Hall of Fame, at least there's like a set number of years that you have to be out of the NFL for it. And sometimes they're like, WWE's just like, oh, you retired yesterday? Okay, cool. You come on into the Hall of Fame. And then a lot of it's political too, like somebody goes to AEW, they're not going to get in the Hall of Fame no matter how much they are a Hall of Famer. Same thing with TNA. That's why I was a little surprised that RVD got in, since he'd been most recently working with TNA. But
well, you want at least to me a what the fuck and how is he in the Hall of Fame? I don't know if you looked at the 2020 inductees, and nothing against him. Why the fuck is Titus O'Neil on this list?
He got the Warrior Award.
Yeah, I guess he's the Warrior Award.
But why though?
Because again, of all his ambassador work, and plus, he was not the spokesman, but he kept up with the PR of what happened last summer with George Floyd.
I guess, but that's still like I don't know.
And I'm gonna tell you this. I'm with you. Like, is that full fledged? Is that full fledged the reason why? That's why I'm like, for me, God bless Titus, but like for me, Shad Gaspard is to me that is the slam dunk. The guy saved his child from certain death before meeting his demise. I said that was heartbreaking, and plus, again, you mentioned politically too. Let's also remember this too. It is a television show. Somebody being perceived, being, weak or, ill. And I mean, what I mean by weak is like physically, unable to make it out there, but not like Connor or I'm trying to remember the dude from a few years ago that was in the wheelchair and had the black dreadlocks, who played college football and got paralyzed on.
I know you're talking about. I can't think of his name either.
Yeah, exactly. But so that one is kind of, throw my hands up. I'm like, I can't say I'm surprised, but I'm just like, man, you got something that is writes itself in terms of just the speech, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a little surprised too, because I don't know if they'll put. I don't think that they would put Crime Time in the Hall of Fame anyway. So you might as well get Shad in there in some way. I think it would have been the perfect way. I don't know if they'll they'll wait and do it maybe next year or something. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, it was kind of weird. Who else was in the 2020 Hall of Fame? Casey.
JBL, Bulldog, Liger,
which
and
is
William
hilarious.
Yeah, it says William Shatner is for 2020. I thought it was 2021.
Yes, unbelievable. It was one of the best days of my life.
And NWO, I guess. I thought they were already in the Hall of Fame.
They were too.
No, but again, this is Sean Waltman's 18th induction. He's the most over Hall of Famer ever.
The groups are NWO and the Bella Twins, so for 2020 anyway. And then 2021 is Molly Holly, Eric Bischoff, Kane, Great Khali, Rob Van Dam. Yeah, I'm sorry. No.
Speaking of, why don't we just talk about the Great Khali? Because I kind of want to hit on some of the more controversial ones.
How about we don't and not?
I'm not going fishing.
Yeah, Khali's a weird one.
I get it. He's a big mark for their Indian, market, and their Indian market apparently is huge. But that doesn't necessarily mean he deserves to be in the freaking Hall of Fame.
I think Mark Henry deserves it.
Upside down.
Mark Henry's already in.
Is he in already?
Yeah. In his speech, he made a public.
That's right.
Because it was a big thing. He made a public plea to Martha Hart to allow Owen be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Okay. Okay.
Because that was a big thing, and plus he put on the salmon suit.
I remember. Yeah. Okay.
I was saying this was like, I want to say it was 18.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, that's right. Because I know they usually like to have like a giant in the Hall of Fame, but
yeah.
You got Kane. What else do you?
Yeah, and by the way, me and Casey talked about this. I would just love it because we were talking about why The Rock and Taker's not in there, and I think this was even in our regular conversation of Rock and Taker need to have a crowd. They're like, you can't do this with virtually and all that. But I believe Kane deserves that too. But he could have the loophole and come out as like Isaac Yankem or the fake Diesel just to mess with us. Dr. I Yankem, pal.
But then Jerry the King Lawler has to induct him. None of the fans are going to know what the hell is going on. Unless you watched in like 95, you have no fucking idea.
Thoughts on the Bella Twins? That was another one that I know people have been pretty up in arms about.
It's hard for me to completely shit on it because, and I'm trying to look at this objectively because I know what they did for more of their stuff outside of Raw and SmackDown. I mean, what the hell's that damn show that I don't watch it? Totally Bellas or yeah, whatever the hell. So that brought more eyes to the product, and I do think in terms of in-ring work, they did have some talent. Some. I'm not. There are no Sherry Martel or Mae Young, Mildred Burke, or things of that nature. But they were very popular, and they were they kind of gave that germ of the idea of eliminating the word diva from the women's wrestlers, for what it's worth. And both of them, one of them right now, had or have high-profile wrestlers. No, yeah. Well, I will tell you this: 90% of it is what Vince wants. That's the big thing. It's like whatever Vince is feeling that weekend. But that's why I've said before, if they get just given just a little bit of criteria of why said person is going in, and yes, they do that with the video packages and all that stuff. But yeah, we know this is all. It's just a television event for the weekend. It's nothing necessarily legit. But again, don't beat us over the head with it because we know it's what Vince wants. But just in terms of the perception on TV, it's like this person has done X, Y, and Z, and they were eligible this year. You know, something to that, like you said, NFL, you got to wait 5 years till after you retire, and you only have so many times of an opportunity until you go in. So I don't know, but yes, politics does go into it. I mean, look at her. They have a woman. They have a faction. They have somebody of a minority descent. Somebody that's going to go in posthumously, i.e., Bulldog. I could make the case, minus the politics. I could make a case that the Bulldogs, the tag team, should go in, because regardless of what Davey and Dynamite's demises were, they were one of the best tag teams of their era in the mid '80s. But that's me.
Yeah. The Bell Twins is an interesting one for me. Because I think Nikki deserves to go in. I always preferred Nikki over Brie. I think she's done more women's wrestling wise. I think she made the Divas title worth a darn for a little bit of time. She had it for a long time actually. But I mean, I don't know. You know, the Bells are almost like in a way a scapegoat one too. Like I'm just talking in terms of like if I had to induct somebody in. Because they're kind of just like they've been around, they are popular, people enjoy them for the most part.
Well, at the same time with that, I'm on the opposite spectrum of at least preferences with the Bellas. I always thought Brie
is terrible compared to Nikki. Get out of my face. Horrible.
Yeah, but she has better taste than men.
Yeah,
true. I always thought Brie was better in ring. I never had anything against Nikki, but I felt like Nikki got her pushed because of John. I'm just saying. How when it finally was like public that she was dating John Cena. That was all that she was focused around was, oh, she's John Cena's girlfriend. Oh, she's, blah, 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 John Cena. That was her.
I'll tell you something. Natalia ain't getting any rub from being a heart.
Fact.
Tamina ain't got a rub from being Samoan.
Yeah, now that the only reason why she doesn't have a rub is because her father is a murderer. But that's besides the point.
Not her fault.
Not her fault. But that's the problem. That's the problem. Is that you get the residual heat because of that. It's like she was. I don't even know if she was born yet when that shit happened.
Well, and with Natalia at the same time with Natalia, the quote, the main heart is hated by Vince McMahon. So that kind of wasn't helping her case at all. I mean, as much as we love Owen, when you think of the Hart, Foundation, the Hart family, you think of Bret more so than in general. The average fan is going to think of Bret, and he has never been in the greatest standings with Vince, at least since the screw job. Even when he came back, you could tell it was just a money thing. They didn't have, there wasn't any, apologies. There wasn't any, nothing was changed. They still hated each other, but I think that unfortunately was what kind of kept Natalia down for so long, because she's a great worker. She is arguably one of the best women's wrestlers that WWE has had since she came into WWE. I don't think anyone can argue that, but I don't think she got to nearly as high as she could have, and I think it was because she was held down because she's a Hart, and Vince isn't a fan of the Hart family. I honestly don't think the Hart family and the McMahons were ever fans of each other. Period, because Vince basically bought out the entire territories and stuff.
Well, and here's the thing. Regardless of what happened at the screw job, Vince did love Brett. What just the only problem is that the shit with, I don't want to veer off too much into this. The shit with Martha did put they had a hand of splitting that family, the household of Owen's household and the Hart family, because the Hart family didn't want Martha to sue, because it's like, you're going after the most powerful man in this industry. He's going to take care of us for the rest of our lives, our kids, etc. Because Vince did take responsibility for what happened to Owen. But for anybody out there that wants to dive into that whole shenanigans of how Owen passed, the gross negligence to it, but the aftermath from it, and then like the shit, the screw job, the can someone make that the quote of the night? This was more over than somebody with twins that had, a good figure, and one married Daniel Bryan and the other was engaged to John Cena.
I'm gonna make that the title of the video.
Just, yes, please. I would induct Mr. Sacco before I induct the Oh, but anyway, no, I do think Vince really does love the Harts, because Vince loves Stu. Stu was helped out a lot of getting some talent from the Stampede territory. Vince, I got rhinos ready. Big bastard. Maybe somebody could I'd stretch it out just a little bit. Why are you guys trying to make Diana into a whore? I'll probably never have a chance to do a Stu Hart impression, so I had to jump on the opportunity. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Like Natty probably does have a little bit of residual heat of who the uncles were, but I do think that's, in the grand scheme of things, it's chicken shit, but nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm a little with the Hall of Fame. It's always just so. I haven't watched Hall of Fame in a while. I used to be really into it. I used to watch it every year, and I don't know if it's because there's wrestling on every single night on WrestleMania weekend now. WrestleMania week. It used to be WrestleMania weekend. Now it's literally WrestleMania.
WrestleMania year.
I don't know where Casey went, but hopefully he's still there. But let's talk about the Peacock censorship thing. Number one, I don't understand why you buy content like that when, like, why do you buy WWE content and then you're like, well, I'm just gonna neuter the content. Like, that's what I don't like. All you gotta do is put a disclaimer before that it doesn't, everything that's on Peacock doesn't align with Peacock's blah 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 blah, like, or NBC's blah 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 standards, whatever.
Right.
Like, then you're done. You protected your butt. Number two, nobody cares. Nobody cares if there's a live sex celebration on a Monday Night Raw on the network. Nobody cares. We've already seen it, right? Like, nobody cares if there's bra and panties matches on the network. Nobody cares. That's the whole point of the network, to commemorate all of that ridiculousness. Nobody cares of whatever they're going to take out of the Attitude Era. Nobody cares. There's movies with worse things that the network has. Like literally. I just don't understand why you're going to buy the content to then go back and censor the content. The whole reason you bought the content and one of the audience there was for said content in its original form. That's why. And then it makes me think, because we've heard all these rumors of WWE maybe going back to an edgier product or maybe trying to do some things to kind of get more fans back in it. Is that going to be an issue? Like, is that going to be an issue? Is that going to just PG WWE back completely down to what it was before?
Yeah, I don't know, because at this, as I stated before, like at this point, you might as well just show stuff from the 2010s on up. Correction, that should be the title of this video. But there are things that don't need to be on there. Like me and Casey talked about this on our stereo episode. The Piper and Bad News Brown segment at WrestleMania 6 with half black, half white, or half blackface, which I don't think has ever been attempted before. And even Roddy's explanation didn't help matters because it still made absolutely no sense. But beyond that, it doesn't need to exist on there just because it was so stupid. The match went like 4 minutes, and plus that whole angle, it was not a Roddy. May you rest in peace. I love you, but it was stupid. It was just a, you may say I'm the hot Scot.
Well, and DJ already brought it up that and we mentioned it too. Why would you buy all this content? You knew what you were buying. You knew, like, who doesn't know about WWE's history? You knew what you were buying, and you're gonna go through 15,000 hours of content to censor things. And I think it's going to backfire on them, because fans are going to get fed up with it, and they're going to cancel their subscription because they're going to be like, hey, if I can't watch what I want to watch in its full entirety, why the fuck am I going to pay you $9.99 a month for stuff that's cut out? Again, like we were saying, there are some, Attitude Era shows and, shows back in the territory days where and in some cases, this is not an exaggeration. There could be 7 matches on the card. 5 of them had blood. So do you take all 5 of those matches out and just have 2 matches left? What do you do there?
Well, with that, with like the match with JBL and Eddie Guerrero at Great American Bash, all it is, the whole match is going to be in black and white.
You remember when they were doing that? When they were turning stuff black?
Which I get, but even then, like the ultimate sin with that concept alone is it completely destroys that double turn with Austin and Brett. Steve is bleeding buckets, and then he does and pushes himself up. That's the best visual. It's one of the best visuals ever. Michael's going.
Wait, is that something that they did?
They did that at one time, where when the real harsh close-ups of the blood, they would go to black and white. It looked like an Oliver Stone movie. It was bizarre, but like Michael's getting catapulted into the cage of the first Hell in the Cell. Like, again, that's an iconic viewpoint. But you've already said it. All you have to do is put into context of the frame of reference at the time. what you're about to see is blah 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 blah. This came out, 20 some odd years ago. Things changed since then. If you're really gonna, push the envelope on that, then just do that more on the modern product, because we know what they've been trying to do since then, especially since going public, since really, like, again, like 08, 09, 2010, is they try to make it PG. Other than that, you can't whitewash stuff that's been in existence for, like, my God, that all the way down to the WWF. There's been sketchy stuff. You can't completely whitewash what has already happened. I mean, and you can gradually see how the business evolved till it's not that anymore, especially when it went away from the territories. But that's why there still should be territories. What works in Florida ain't going to work in New York, and vice versa.
Well, and also, we were saying this last night, and I brought it up. Is professional wrestling is supposed to make you feel things. It is supposed to make you feel uncomfortable at times, just like movies, like horror movies. Horror movies are supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. Same with professional wrestling. There's times where it's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable.
You're garnering a reaction.
Exactly. And when you're taking that away, you're taking away the main point of it. That's why they're doing these things. That's why, when you get a huge feud and there's blood, oh man, these guys really hate each other. They really want to rip each other apart. Makes you a bit uncomfortable. The fingies is supposed to make you feel uncomfortable.
They're gonna censor it. They're gonna censor any fingy stuff. Any fingy stuff, they're gonna have to censor it. Because I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable with the fingies. I'm not comfortable with it.
Every Pete Dunne match is gonna make you cringe every time.
Just gonna go black screen every time he does any fingy stuff. It's black screen.
They just censor out the hand.
Oh man. But yeah, I mean, the Peacock thing is kind of weird. I'm still interested in what they're gonna do with this entire transition. I don't think they're starting on a good foot. Number one, but number two, they still don't have a live program for the network, right? Yet, I think it's still just they have a channel, but it's like random on demand stuff, which I think is kind of stupid.
And it's not categorized at all.
Yeah. I was searching. Well, I think I was searching for a takeover that wasn't on there yet, but still, I was searching and I felt like it was hard to find everything. Like there almost needs to be search filters where it's like TV, movies, WWE, blah, 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 sports, whatever. Because I was searching for something and I would have never found it the way that search engine is.
They need to, they have the WWE category, but then in there they need pay-per-views, they need in-ring, they need, what they had in WWE Network.
Yeah, they just need to copy and paste that over.
Seriously, but they rushed it because they were trying to get this stuff up and running so quickly because of Mania coming up. But either then, but again, why didn't you make the deal can we start this after Mania? Because after that, then you have that allotted time until SummerSlam. Because nobody's going to give a shit about these other fucking pay-per-views in between.
No.
But anyway, any other thoughts on the topic of discussion here?
This could be, I think I brought this up before, this could be the opportunity for them eventually to sell the stock, especially because, again, eventually, in the end, this is all Vince's doing, and he wins in the end. They're like, wait a minute, you're going to give me $1 billion for me to take my content? Yes, here you go. But I do believe if we had streaming 20 some years ago, I think Vince would actually fight to actually have that be presented the way they originally were. But right now, he don't care because it's
Well,
publicly traded and blah blah blah.
what scares me is WWE or the McMahons potentially eventually selling WWE as a whole to someone, because then we have to fear, who do they, if they sell it, who do they sell it to, and whoever they sell to, are they going to keep it, what it was meant to be, or is it going to turn into something completely different? And that's what really scares me about, because now we're just talking about them selling the content and stuff, not necessarily the company, but that is slowly, a snowball effect to them. Because as much as I would love Vince to just sell it to Triple H or pass it along to Stephanie or Shane or whatever, something about him doesn't make me think he trusts them, which is crazy.
Shane would be the logical inherent of that in that regards, because Shane actually he's been around the business now for 30 plus years. He has a little bit of product knowledge, but he would not want to be that hands on, and they would actually have subdivisions for the first time ever, I think. Some of that stuff is just for I don't want to say kind of like De Niro in Casino, where he would change the title of his job so the Fed would get off, and he was always legit, but he would have to every once in a while, just a little bit of window dressing. Shane could actually run the business side of the company. Triple H could handle the actual wrestling. Yeah. Stephanie could have some involvement with it, but she could do the charity work because she's always usually the figurehead for it, whether it's Susan G. Komen, Special Olympics, Make-A-Wish, all that stuff. Yeah. She is good in that regard. But they would actually have 3 or 4 divisions that would have some structure, as opposed to Vince saying, let's make this department, pal, when he's still the one making the shots.
I think that would be best too. And I don't know who I heard say something about that, but I think that would be best. And Casey, I agree. I hope they don't sell to just somebody else and then screw themselves. Because my issue is, like, not that WWE's been the greatest thing we've ever seen over the past 10 years or so, but still, if they sell to someone who has no idea what they're doing, then they're really screwed.
Yeah, what my biggest fear is they sell it to a non-wrestling minded person or sports entertainment minded person who.
Talking about they're gonna sell it to Tony Khan.
Exactly. Basically, sell it to somebody like Tony Khan.
Booker of the year. Booker of the year. Booker of the year.
But
get
like
the
you were
stables.
Saying, like you were saying, have different divisions where Triple H is in charge of the wrestling. Stephanie is in charge of the charity and even merchandise and stuff. Give her that. And then, Shane is the business side of it. And then you could even have, like, HBK be in charge of the performance center. And then you could have, like, William Regal be in charge of the UK stuff. Have each person have, because, for such a huge company, you can't just have, 2 or 3 people. You have to have a bunch of people because there's so much. I don't think when fans complain about WWE as a business, I don't think they really put into the picture of it how big WWE is. It's not just a wrestling show every week. It's not just booking an arena. There's so much more that they have. They have the international stuff. They have, like, business.
Up until 2001, they were the most high-profiled, most successful mom and pop organization ever. Once they went public, forget about it. But, like, other than that, whatever. I mean, Vince had the resources still, but again, that was, again, shoehorn budget, a lot of it being out of pocket. Again, that's why WrestleMania 1 was so important, because he literally put all of his eggs into that basket. If WrestleMania 1 doesn't work, we're not talking about WWE today. They're still probably trying to get from the ground back. They may not be eliminated, but Jim Crockett in WCW would be head and shoulders above everybody else, because there has been that debate for so many years, especially in the 80s. WWF was the higher profile, more well-known product, but the stuff in the South, the NWA, had the better wrestling product.
Sidebar. Wait, hold on. I have a point. You have a point. For the second time in my life, I agree. Yeah. Anyway,
it'll be a long time before he makes the third point.
You know what? You're made it in the top 5 favorite Canadians of mine. So
what's 0 times 0? It's not 12.
I'm thinking it's not 12.
I didn't study.
but I forgot what I was going to say now. No. That's kind of another discussion we can have, and there's not necessarily an answer to it, but and this is kind of a discussion I've always wanted to have with people, kind of a what if Mania didn't take off, or what if WCW won? What if the tables were turned? What would the business look like today? And again, there's not necessarily an answer because we don't know, but we can kind of give our guesses and things like that. So that could kind of be a sort of out of the box discussion we could have. Yeah. But again, with kind of going back to the Hall of Fame, sort of staying with the business aspect of WWE, we also talked about this on the discussion last night. And it's a crazy idea. I know. Why would anyone do this? I don't know of any other company or any organization that actually has a physical Hall of Fame. Build a physical Hall of Fame that people can visit year round. You're going to make so much more money. You can change exhibits, from, do a, like I was saying last night, do a Stone Cold exhibit for 3 months, and then change it to an Undertaker exhibit, and then keep changing it so people keep wanting to come back to see the new exhibit. And they have so much stuff in their warehouse of memorabilia that they can have there year round that people are going to want to come and see. And like we were saying, put it in Florida. People already vacation there year round anyway. Hey,
make a couple. You probably have so much memorabilia that you can make one in Connecticut, make one in Florida, put one in New York or whatever. Put one on, of course, in Cali.
That was his first suggestion, was up there. But I'm like, to me, if you don't, definitely do up there. Like, just because that seems to be like their second hub. What they're trying to go for is Florida. But really, I think Sanford, mainly Florida, but Sanford, Florida, Chicago, and then LA. Because now you're hitting all points into the country. Yeah. I mean, for one thing you must have it is an absolute requirement. All of them must have a year-round Andre segment.
Yes.
I've already, Jesus, Casey is on a roll tonight. Let's not get crazy. Well, I ain't calling him butter because he's on a roll.
but also, after, I wouldn't do them all at once. I would roll out one and then, maybe a year or two later open the next one. And, next one. And eventually I would also open one maybe over in the UK somewhere, and possibly one in Canada. So it's not just, because other countries are going to want to have and definitely the UK, I think, needs one because there's so much wrestling history, just from the UK and obviously Canada. So I would
and
eventually
Florida, no, I'll never forget.
and Florida. So I would definitely eventually, have one there, those places too, because that way, some people just don't have the finances to go to another country to see something. So have one over there that they can see and have more kind of specific, Canadian stuff in the Canada one, and stuff from the UK in the UK one. But then you can change exhibits like we were saying, have a main exhibit for 3-4 months, and then switch it. That way, people are gonna constantly gonna want to come, and you're constantly making money rather than just having these exhibits set up for WrestleMania weekend and access. When you're gonna make a ton of money because millions of people come in for WrestleMania weekend, but think of how much more money you're going to make year round. And you'll know the almighty dollar is really what Vince cares about,
Yeah, and if you have a spot in Canada, you could call it the Canadian Destroyer.
And when you walk in, somebody they greet you with a little with a little speech, kind of explaining the history of professional wrestling in Canada. But it starts out with, I could be serious.
And I want the moderator to be Scott Steiner. That's all I'm saying. There's a 33% chance that you're going to make it through this exhibit.
I want
You fat ass.
I want Steiner to try to explain the metric system.
Why?
But if nobody else has any points, real quick, want to tell everybody, if you want to listen to us, like always, Anchor, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Ankle, Snapple Podcast, as usual as well. If you hate Facebook and you want to watch it on YouTube, you can, or vice versa. My last point is, I'm just waiting for Peacock to realize that I'm in Virginia and they don't allow blood at wrestling shows, so they're going to start blurring out the blood for me specifically. So that's what I'm waiting on. So I'll be waiting. I will be ready for that moment. But nonetheless, any other thoughts real quick before we skedaddle?
I want Peacock to work, but I just think that they're shooting themselves in the foot, trying to appease a conglomerate like NBC, which I know they have history, but again, you knew what you were buying.
But even NBC has shows that depict blood and violence. What is the difference?
That's
Why?
not real, pal.
None of it's real.
I can't be on TV. I can't be on TV if I'm dead.
Exactly. I was just gonna say, Vince McMahon literally blew up in a limousine.
That is a quote. That is a quote from one Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Yeah, TV if I'm dead.
Michael, get in here. Get rid of the blood.
Good night, Sarah. Good night. All right, that'll do it for the show. Definitely hope you guys enjoyed it as always. If you haven't given us a like yet, like the page or whatever you do with the page. Feel free. Justin's somewhere fishing. I don't know, at the marina. I thought it was in Narnia, but Adam said he was at the marina, so I was like, he got to be fishing.
I was trying to type in Narnia. Damn, autocorrect. What's even worse is when I first read it, here's my dyslexic ass. I'm like, wait a minute, he must be in Marinara? That really is the Red Kingdom.
But definitely hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, we'll have some other video coming up soon. Definitely hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see.
Probably a wrestling related one.
Probably, maybe it might be something else, but I don't know. Anyway, we'll see you guys for WrestleMania weekend. We'll have some things to talk about, of course, for that too, which will be along
wrestling every night.
Yeah, I think we do a watch along every night.
Well, because there's 2 nights of Takeover, there's 2 nights of Mania.
Yeah.
Wait,
Raw.
speaking of which, Justin, I love you, brother, but how are we going to watch the takeovers now? They're not on the network yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Mania's hard.
But nonetheless, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace, people.